What is going on? It is Ryan and Brian Talk Sports plus Niclarson. We're still not officially putting him on there, and I think we could at this point. He's had more
Probably.
shows than you had, Ryan, in the last month than you've done the last year. But at the
Classic.
same time, it just makes me a little bit happier knowing that it might slightly piss him off. So I'm appreciative of that. So as
No.
always, we appreciate Hall of Fame bets, Pickett Sports, and Super Picks. Full crew today. How are you guys doing?
Nick, go ahead, man.
The only thing that pisses me off is you didn't start with a thank you after not betting the Nola PPD last week and letting you win it. So
Yeah, but he didn't get 6 though, he only got 5, so I still made
you're getting
money, but, like,
greedy.
barely.
You're getting greedy.
I'm getting well, Aaron Nola just pisses me off. I
You
was
mean
saying this on the
Cy
show
Young
earlier
Aaron
with Will
Nola?
Hill. I said this earlier on the show with Will Hill. It is crazy to me because his whip is like what 1.12, I think,
Yeah,
and then
it's
his
pretty
ERA
good.
is like a million. It's like he's
Homer
got like a
bust.
top 10 ERA, but 29 home runs. If the guy could just
Yeah,
keep the ball in the ballpark, look out.
one day, maybe one day. I mean, hell, Sunday was our day. So let's see a lot more of that from Aaron Nola the rest of the season. I'd be
The
thrilled.
last 2 weeks he's looked great.
Sure has. Absolutely
Um,
has.
Someone already in the chat is asking about Baltimore, San Diego, Atlanta, and Mariners for like a money line
Dang.
parlay. We kind of talked about it earlier on the show. There are some baseball games today that you look at it every which way and you're just wondering how the hell does insert team here lose this game? And he kind of named them all right here.
Yeah,
Baltimore, San Diego, Atlanta, and the Mariners.
yeah. We'll find out very soon. Like I tweeted about it earlier today, and I'm sure we'll reference it a few times on the show because like we wake up a lot of Monday mornings. We have a pretty underwhelming slate, and I kind of like wonder like how are we going to get the most out of this slate? This slate, I woke up this morning like blown away, but I'm almost like sketched out about how good it is. Like I'm wondering if this is the blow up Monday, but fuck all that. We're gonna win some money.
These
So
are the
Yeah,
ones that scare you when you see these type of slates. These scare you for sure.
yeah.
yeah.
When
Which
plays
is which
become
is why I'm like scared to even bet anything.
yeah, when
It's
plays
it's
become super obvious, then it could get kind of funky in any given night. So we'll see, man. I'm still backing one of those teams that he mentioned. And I mean, I like all four. Like you said, Brian, like you kind of have to sit and wonder how the hell could these teams lose these games, and um, it's kind of hard to imagine where we sit right now.
I'm just realizing I forgot to put this in the Discord channel, like Tone explicitly asked us to do. So I want to do that now.
That's all right. I did it for us, so it's
It's okay.
per usual
Before we,
carrying the show.
before we even kick off into the MLB bets, which we'll do in like 38 seconds, do you guys buy into Mookie Betts now being the favorite for NL Cy Young? That was a big topic we had
Cy Young.
earlier. Like,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
definitely the Cy Young
I
winner
just
for
like
sure.
this. I like to misspeak all the time on this show just because I feel like it's going to add so much cool sound bites for later with mispronounced names, just all
Yeah,
the other
do.
stuff. It's been funny, but yeah, he's now the MVP favorite, and that's kind of a crazy thing to think about. Like a month ago, if we probably never even think we're going to say that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think this stretch, I mean, a lot of it sometimes is just getting hot at the right time. And it, kind of helps people forget like a season long thing rather than just focus on a month long thing. But this month long thing that Mookie's been doing is out of this world. So, I mean, and he was playing well prior to this stretch where he turned into Ted Williams and Barry Bonds baby. But I don't know. This has been one of the best months of baseball I think I've ever seen from an offensive player, especially a non steroid baseball player
Do you think
Oh
that
Freeman?
we
man,
know of.
Do you think Freeman steals any votes, or them being on the same team hurts him at all?
That's
yeah,
that's actually a great point. That is probably going to be his biggest, I guess, fear, if you will. I think that would be his biggest downside is that he does indeed have a teammate that's playing damn near as good as he is, which is kind of crazy. That 1-2 punch is just insane. So yeah, I think that would be the biggest fear, but I do think Mookie is a very reasonable favorite right now.
yeah. It's one of those things where the Braves are also just like the best team in baseball as well. They get seen a lot every single time they do something good. They're talked about. They're tweeted about. They're just everywhere.
I mean, Tone's asking all the real questions though, because if you look down in the chat, we got a good Tone shout
Yeah,
out. Hey
I
Brian,
forgot. I
can we
forgot
talk
to.
about your face?
I forgot to bring this up on the other show because I hope we go unnoticed. But yeah, I do.
Oh, we were
Pretty
going to do that.
yeah, pretty nasty, I guess. I mean, I did break my nose on Saturday. I was at the FanDuel Fan Fest at Xfinity Live, and it was fun. I hit a 20-foot putt to win a prize. I hit, I did a dead hang to win a prize. I shot some good basketball. Those are the highlights of the day. And then after the Fall Out Boy concert, we went inside. We ran. We were all going to do the mechanical bull, and my friend Matt went first. My guy Weeze went second. I was third on the docket. I think I did the best out of all of them in terms of actually riding the bowl. But when I fell off, you know how they have like the mechanical bowl, like it's like a moon balance type floor, so no one gets hurt. It backfired on me because it bucked. I fell out of the bowl, landed on my back like this on the moon balance, but because I hit the ground so hard, I flew back up and I went nose first into the metal beam on the back of the bowl, and I cracked my nose to the point where this side was way to the left, and I started bleeding everywhere in front of everybody. So
That's
I went to dap up the operator, say like no hard feelings, all good, and he was like, "Dude, you got to go to the bathroom." I went to the bathroom at the bar, and I had to reset my nose at the bar because we still had to go to the Phillies game later in the day. So we
Jesus.
soldiered on. We soldiered
Did
on,
you
but
did you continue drinking is the real question.
I had to. It was my own anesthesia for the pain. I had to self medicate, so I
There
did
you go.
keep going. We went to the casino after the game too. We were out until like 2 o'clock. Yeah,
Nice.
so it's
Maybe
yeah.
just maybe somebody will get hands on this footage and tweet
I'll
it,
say
but
this
we'll
in my
see, man.
career, mostly rugby wise. This is the fifth time I broke my nose. By far, the funniest story was the
Yeah,
mechanical bull. So
nice.
I'm glad you guys brought that up before we could talk about real things. So thank
Oh
you
yeah.
for outing me a little bit there. I just can't have that video getting
Anytime.
out because Will Hill has a picture of me in Tennessee with a bunch of milfs, like at like at a bachelor party, and he uses it every single time anyone posts anything on Twitter. So if he gets this video on top of that, it would be the worst thing I could ever do. I would have to quit this job and move to a different state or something.
All the more reason that we'll try to post that if we ever get our
Yeah.
hands on it.
Anyway, what is your favorite bet
Anyway.
onto the slate, Ryan?
Oh man,
Uh,
how about I start with my least favorite? I didn't even write this guy up because it just what's even the point? But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna jump off this cliff and bet Xavier Curry 4+ strikeouts versus the Twins. Like I said, I don't have a write up, dude. This guy, he kind of stinks, but I think there's a really solid chance he stinks a lot less than this Twins lineup that is projected to have a 28% K rate. Now their lineup actually just came out. Um, so I'll get you an official number on that, but it's going to be really damn bad. Curry actually pitched a bit of a gem 2 starts ago versus Detroit. He had 6 strikeouts in 6 innings. I believe it was his first quality start. And then last game, he was getting knocked around, so he probably wasn't going to last that long against the Dodgers. But he had a rain-shortened outing where he only pitched 2 innings, 1 strikeout. So we come back today. I think he's almost fully stretched out. 2 games ago, he threw 81 pitches. Um, if he's kind of awful, we'll really find out today because the Twins offense can be productive despite the strikeouts, but I can never resist plus odds for 4 strikeouts versus the Twins. So Xavier Curry, I'm going to just go ahead and jump off, and that's my first and arguably least favorite play of the day that I actually locked in
I saw you tweet about that. Was it last night or this morning? You were just like
this
already
morning.
hating yourself. Yeah, you're already just hating yourself before the day even started, which is actually a good way to do it. I highly recommend waking up, immediately going into the mirror, and just looking at your reflection and just saying the worst things possible. But I
Really
do think
boosts
that's
self
good.
confidence.
Yeah, it really boosts. I mean, it starts your day out bad. I don't understand this whole good morning. No, start the morning low and then build up from there.
There you go.
It's like a crescendo there. So
Feels
I do
flawless.
like that. If you don't know this, the Twins do strike out a lot.
A
So
lot.
A couple
getting
times.
yeah, quite a few times they like to strike out. So I do think that's a good look for you, Ryan.
Yeah,
Even though
they're
it might literally blow up in your face.
yeah. We'll
Which
see. It wouldn't. My face would still look better than yours afterwards, so it's
Oh,
not going to be that big of a.
yeah. No,
Oh,
it
sorry.
is. I
That was a
agree.
low blow.
My face is destroyed. I might have to like stay inside for like this week. I don't know if I can go out and see people that I know. And then Friday, my big money fantasy league, we rented a private room at Xfinity Live to have like a big draft day.
That's
And
sick.
my girlfriend said if go anywhere near that bowl, she will leave me. And I just know they're like some of my best friends in the world that after a few drinks, they're not going to care about my safety. They're just going to want to get me drunk and throw me on the bowl again and see what happens. So
That's
it'll
fair.
be a 50-50 chance if I survive that night.
Those are
hey,
good
you got to
friends.
face your fears sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I can't let the bull win. I can't let the bull win. I gotta get
These are
my.
facts.
I got. I got. That'd be really funny if I just go in there and start punching the bull. That's what's gonna happen. It's not even gonna be a riding the bull. It's just gonna be kicking it.
There you go.
Um. So let's kick it over to Nick. So how many plays do you have, Nick? I know
A
Ryan
lot.
has 32. How
I
many do
thought
you
I have
have?
more than him.
Really? Dang.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
two. Something
we're
light.
cooking today.
Yeah, I actually
So
have a bunch of spots I want to like look into more because I might have more plays, but I wanted to see lineups just because we're talking about how scary this could be when you know, it looks too good to be true. So,
right.
Nick, you take us on one of your plays because I know for a fact me and Ryan are on the same play, which is scary as hell.
If I'm on that play too, then I won't
Does it
do that.
involve
You, you
does it
kind of
involve
are.
Snell?
Yes, it does. So I'm just
Tell,
not gonna
talk, talk about Snell right now. Talk about Snell right now.
No, I don't want to. I didn't want to be the
Yeah,
one
talk.
talking.
What? How are you backing him? Say it right here, right now.
It has 3 letters after it. Starts with a P,
Not great.
second letter's a P, third letter's a D.
Hey, this is good news.
You're taking his outs.
Nothing could go
No.
wrong here. This
So
is
are we
great.
all on? Did you take 6 in a win or 7 in a win, Nick?
No, I took 5 in a win, and I played it differently. I paired it with Grayson Rodriguez, 5 in a win, plus 190 for both of them, 5 in a win, and then I laddered it up.
So what we could say there is that Snell will get 5 strikeouts. Padres will win, but your other leg is going to blow it. So that way none of us win. That's the most likely scenario here.
So yeah, if
Nope.
you're trying to bet this, that might be the route to go.
It's gonna be crazy odds, but weirdly enough, we're all in the same way to back Snell, and this is one of those things I said earlier. I actually hate the Padres. I've hated them all year. I bet the under strikeouts against them not long ago, and they came out against Woodruff and they had 17 strikeouts, which is it was just so frustrating because
Hey,
they
Brewers
kept
are
getting
hot.
in.
Watch out.
I know they are. It's crazy hot, but they didn't have any whiffs. That's my thing. That their whiff numbers weren't like absurdly high. They just always seem to get into 2 strike counts and then find that as a time to whiff. It was a whole other thing. So I do think it's one of those spots where you just have to back them, right? I mean, it's Wainwright who's just been sadly awful. Like I'm not a big Wainwright fan at all, just because I'm a Phillies fan. And there's a whole backstory there, but the guy's so close to 200 wins, and I just don't know if he's ever going to get there. Like, like to be 2 away for this long, and it's like, oh, you really root for him to get there. There's just nothing left in the tank. And when I saw 6 strikeouts and a win for Snell at minus 120, I kind of played it like really early without even thinking about my hatred for the Padres because they should get some offense on there. He's having trouble finding the strike zone. A lot of these guys walk. You give me 2 base runners, just someone come through with a knock, and then you have Snell on the other side of things that should just deal against this Cardinals team that's really been struggling.
The
Yeah.
only hope is like, I mean, the only fear is like you get the Snell where he comes out and like walks 3 guys in the first inning or something. If he can get through that first inning, I think without
Is anyone
blowing
scared that
up
his
the
outs are plus money for 17.5? Pretty scary stuff.
Not really. Here, I got some. All right, we're talking so dark on this. Let's throw out some good stats here. So I got some good stats for you guys. So Gary Sanchez is the key to Blake Snell's year right now. In 16 games, the Gary Sanchez behind the plate, Blake Snell has a 1.47 ERA. That's 92 innings with a 1.47 ERA. He has 130 strikeouts in those 92 innings. Hitters are hitting just 169 in these games. So I think he can keep the Cards limited. The Cardinals aren't a huge strikeout target, but their lineup is, as they bring guys up from the minors, is becoming more and more attractive by the week. It feels, there's enough targets in here that I think a guy like Snell can get 6. And we have the league leader in ERA versus the guy who technically doesn't qualify, but would be the worst in the league by like 2 runs if he did qualify. So how? There's no fucking way. I'm taking it minus 119. There's I don't know. There's no way. Snell, 6 strikeouts.
Also, I'm going to
win.
bring up the
Simple as
official
that.
lineup because it is out yet, and I was going to have it prepped, and then I forgot. So let
It's
me
all
just
good.
get one.
There's 5 great targets. We have Goldschmidt is, I guess, the worst of these 5. Contreras is 28%. Gorman's 28.8%.
See, that's what I mean, though.
Hisner's 25. Walker's 25.
My biggest thing with backing Snell today is 6 strikeouts he can find, but you mentioned Nick mentioned, like, oh, what if he gets too many walks early or he struggles, like he has those kind of starts. There's just so many righties on this team, and he usually can just feast on right-handed batters. So I'm not as concerned when there's not really any lefties that are gonna like really scare me, except for maybe one.
Yeah, yeah. This
I think the biggest thing we learned here is what is going on with the Padres? Why aren't you starting Sanchez? Why don't you make him Snell's personal catcher every start?
is a really damn good question.
Well, the
Really,
Padres
really
just
good
don't care
question.
anymore. I mean, they straight up
That's true.
asked them if they look at the standings, and they were like,
Yeah.
why should we even care?"
I will say
Um,
Sanchez is starting today, so we have that under our belt. That is good news.
Yeah, so as Ryan said, there is four guys in the bottom five of the lineup with 25 or higher strikeout percentage. So this Cardinals team, I will say, I get that they have good strikeout numbers and it's pretty low, but a lot of these guys necessarily weren't playing for them all year. Like it's one of those things where it's sometimes skewed to use a team stat for a season against a current lineup, and this current lineup has just not been producing at all.
Yeah. I mean, they just scored 3 runs in a 3-game series against, granted, the best team in the league, but
Yeah,
I
I
just
mean,
said it. But yeah, I mean, they are not clicking at all. There's not much to be excited about here. I don't know. I mean, it does kind of frighten you a little bit, but this is one of the more obvious PPDs of the season. Uh, we'll see what happens. I'm willing to die on this hill if I
I
need
will
to.
say I'm willing to pay the juice on the PPD here because 6 for Snell, even though it's not a number he really lands on a lot, you talk about like even if he has struggles punching out some of these top of the lineup guys, he should find 6 if he goes 5 or 6 innings. Just in terms of some of these guys, he can just attack. I mean, it's easy to talk about strikeout percentage, but some of these guys in the lineup are not hitting at all. That it's such a swing in the right direction for Snell, who can just go right after him because strikeout rate only means so much when you're able just to pitch and say, I don't even care if you make contact because what are you going to do if you do? So I think it's
Yeah.
a really good spot.
I will say I see a lot of people like losing their shit after the first inning all the time when they bet K props, but like a lot of the time you got to realize that the top of the lineup guys aren't the ones that you're really targeting for strikeouts. So like if he has a
Yeah.
0 K first, it's not the end of the
I
world.
sometimes I double down on it. Sometimes
I'm
I'll
not
take a
mad
live
at you.
line. Yeah.
I like that.
The biggest thing in the first is you just want that pitch count to be okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and
you don't
Snell's
need
a
to
guy that
score.
matters. There's some guys that it was the big guy last year was Yu Darvish. If you backed him last year, you almost was just praying he had under 25 pitches in the
Right.
first inning.
That's a fact.
All right,
Absolute fact.
so we
All
covered
right.
we covered the play that we're all in together.
Indeed.
Nick, do you want to do a solo play with that we probably aren't on?
I mean, yeah, I can do that. Now that I heard Ryan's going to be dabbling some RBIs, maybe he is on one of these. Who knows?
It's
I
not. I
feel
double checked.
I feel like a trader ditching the K market as much as I have, but the RBI market, the value is crazy compared to like strikeout PPDs or anything. Like for as often as they hit, it's great. The odds are nuts.
Yeah.
So I took 3 guys in the Brewers Cubs game, which is Miley against Talion. I took Suzuki, who's been on fire. He's plus 160 to get an RBI. I took Yan Gomes, who's hitting 571 career off of Miley. He's plus 160. And then I took Willie Adames of the Brewers to get an RBI. And he's a guy who's like, I mean, when he goes cold, he goes cold, and
Yeah.
he won't get a hit for 4 games. But he's been heating up lately, and he gets RBIs in bunches. So if we're catching him at the right time, it could be a good chance for him to go off for RBI wise.
Yeah. So I'm curious though. You bet 1, 2, 3, 4, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I
I
go
was
I go
been a little
super
torn on
I
what
go
to do.
I go light on the 3-4.
Sure.
And then usually one to like win maybe a unit back, depending on what the odds are. Some of them, I mean, some of them you can get at like plus 210. Some are like closer to even money. It just kind of depends
Yeah,
on the
for
guy
sure.
or whoever it is.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I do like a reverse pyramid. I go so heavy on the 4 and then lower as I go down. It doesn't really work as much as you'd think,
But if you
but
do hit that 4 by chance,
yeah, no, I like that. I do think it's interesting that you're moving away because I moved away from strikeout props a little bit, and now I'm trying to get back into them because I feel like maybe the dust has settled a little bit more. Uh, I'm just chalking up this NBA, this MLB season as Yeah, it's been all right. Like it's been frustrating at times, but I do think that MLB is one of those things where as frustrating as it can be. Just there's so many markets that you can constantly just kind of test on the side or research, and I mean if you're finding what works, just run with it. You don't have to apologize to strike out people in the chat or anything else.
I've cried a few times, but it's it's okay. We understand. No, I'm open minded enough, especially in baseball. Like I'm not opposed to switching it up and trying new things. I've tried it. This is the season where I've tried the most new things by a mile because I used to be pretty damn near exclusive for K's, and then this year I've done a lot of experimenting. I've done more offense, but I
It
haven't
was
gotten
like
into the
senior year of
RBI
college
game.
for you.
And then
Oh man, not bad,
RBIs
not bad.
specifically RBIs, make sure you check different books because there's huge discrepancies for especially the one RBI because I think FanDuel's and Bet365 are the only ones you can kind of ladder it. But some of these this morning were like Suzuki was like plus 110 on FanDuel, but plus 160 on DraftKings. So there's
Use
big
Picket
difference.
Sports to shop your lines, people. We say
Oh
it
boy.
because
Yeah.
like it's a sponsor, but I also would say it if I didn't have them as a sponsor. I think that's the one thing I use every single day that's outside
Yeah.
of actually betting on the books is the Picket Sports app. Just because I there was a time before technology caught up to sports betting being cool where you'd have to almost like check DraftKings, swipe up, check FanDuel, swipe up, like and just kind of remember each odds. So now that when you can have just one app that does it all for you, it's
Yeah.
super helpful. So remember
Oh
that.
yeah.
In the chat, we do have someone asking Ryan. I'll let you take it because I don't feel like talking anymore. But Grayson, yeah. So over 1.5 walks. I guess as a question, because it drops so much, is it still worth betting? I think that's a personal preference there because he said that he's gone over. He said that all 9 starts at home, but it opened at plus 155, and now it's at the plus 120. I'm a little bit more weird with that kind of stuff. Where if I lose the opening line value, where I think the line, because oftentimes the opening line value is where the books think a line should be set. So if people catch on, they bet it down. I just
Yeah.
feel a little bit iffy on it, if that's the right word, because you lose 35 cents in that case on just value alone for the closing line value. But I think it's up to you personally how you want to bet it. So, do you have any thoughts on that, like in terms of how you handle when a line moves against you or for you?
I'm fairly similar to you. I think the main sport that kind of comes to mind is NFL because if you miss some lines on Wednesday, like especially if you're trying to bet the yards and stuff, so we'll run into this quite soon. Like the closing line will sometimes be like up to 6 or 7 yards larger than the opening line. So I'm a little bit more hesitant in that kind of scenario. With this plus 120, for that hit rate is still intriguing enough for me. The main thing with Grayson is he has a 12.4% walk rate versus lefties and only 7% versus righties. And he's got, including switch hitting Moncada, he's got 4 lefties in the lineup. Fairly encouraged, I guess you could say. There is this guy Sosa who has 70 at bats versus right-handed pitching, and he has 0 walks. So, it's about the worst matchup you can have for walks. Grayson's been hitting it consistently enough that I'd be intrigued at plus 120, though.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things I'll pass it to Nick because everyone's asking about his other 3
Yeah.
RBI, whatever things he was talking about. Whatever this guy, whatever he's talking about. But I will also say this: I think it's a lot more meaningful if you lose juice where we have to pay to win a unit. If it's plus money, I'm a little bit less concerned about losing value just because
Yeah.
the difference between betting a unit and either winning 1.5 or 1.2 is a lot different than needing to bet, say like Blake Snell. If I give it out, it's minus 120, it's still minus 120. If I were to look in 20 minutes and it's like minus 155, that's the same 35 cents. It's a lot different when you have to pay the extra 35 cents than profit the extra 35 cents. So I do think
Yeah.
there's a big key there. So Nick, now answer the chat. Everyone wants to know the other RBI props because apparently you mumbled or something. I don't know what you did, but I'm
Willie
just gonna
Adames,
blame you. I think it's easier to blame you than anybody else. So
That's
Willie
fair.
Adames of the Brewers, Yan Gomes Cubs, and then Suzuki from the Cubs. And I'll have a few more here coming up once we.
Jan Gomer, man. That's
Yeah,
Good deal.
yeah.
Good deal.
All right.
all of them were plus 160 last I looked. I don't know if they've moved or not.
That's awesome.
So if
Um,
you just gotta hit a few of it. I mean, you're right there about the odds. I mean, you just need one solo shot or one guy in a really good position.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, it's an intriguing market. I've dabbled in the thought of like later on this week, if I don't like a K slate very much, or maybe like on Thursday, there's only like 5 games. Maybe I'll just rattle off like 7 guys, risk like zero 0.6, zero 0.7 units per, and just ladder RBIs for an entire day. Just kind of see how it goes in a sense. Because I've
That'd
seen
be
some
fun.
crazy things. That man Joke in Beating the Books Discord's going crazy. Nick's going crazy with these things. Enough to certainly get my attention. So I definitely felt the need to kick some tires here. So tonight will be my first attempt, but I'll get to that later. I do have
So
a
no,
couple
just
other props.
honestly, you want to just like give them out now. Everyone wants RBIs, and you said you had some. So why would you wait? I mean, it
I guess that's a good point.
seems like you're just trying to drum up some anticipation for people to hear you talk.
You caught me. All right, fuck it. So let's go ahead and run it. So I play it. The way I'm gonna play this is I'm gonna play total bases for this guy for 0.6 units. I'm gonna play 2 RBIs for 0.26 units, 3 RBIs for 0.14. Sorry for the funky numbers there. So the way that breaks down is this for me personally as a $50 unit guy. It's 30 on total bases. It's 13 on 2 RBIs, and then it's 7 on 3 RBIs. The guy I'm going with is Teoscar Hernandez. He gets to face off against Kyle Muller, which is a man I just needed to fade today. 7.28 ERA, 1.89 whip. His road ERA is 10.41. He's allowed a 333 average to right-handed batters. That includes 9 home runs, 13 doubles. Teoscar is my favorite lefty killer in the lineup, I believe. He's projected to bat 4th. We'll find out soon. I think worst case scenario bats 5th.
He is hitting 4.
Okay, that is official. Even better. So slated to bat 4th. I like the guys that are in front of him to get on base. He's got a long history of being a lefty killer. This year's been no different. Even though I think he got off to a pretty slow start, he's really come around. In 108 at bats, he has 10 doubles, 6 homers, a 306 average. And I went with him over the rest of the lineup. There's a lot of good choices in this lineup, but his RBI numbers are just absurd. Over the past 7 and 15 days, over the last 7 days, he has 10 RBIs. Over the last 15 days, he has 16 RBIs. So that's a decent sample size as far as games played here. So he's really been raking them in. He's on fire. He's batting over 400 over the last 15 days. Teoscar's main issue this year has been strikeouts. He strikes out like 30% of the time versus lefties. But Muller has a 16% K rate versus righties. So I think there's a good chance he puts a few balls in play against Muller, and then Muller will hand the ball off to a bullpen with a 5.05 ERA in August, which is actually improved on what they have been doing most of the season. Keto asked if I did half unit on total bases. I actually did 0.6. So I did 0.6 on total bases, 0.24 on 2 RBI, 0.16 on 3 RBIs. Sorry.
I'm a big Teoscar fan. After the other day I had him, grand slam.
Grand slam, yeah.
Cashes
And
everything.
then they won that game, right?
By a few runs.
6 RBIs, so
yeah,
he's hot right now for sure.
No doubt. Yeah, really nice spot. So I figured it'd be a good time to kick some tires on it. I think I messed up the breakdown. I'm just gonna type it in the Twitch chat just so I don't F it up anymore. But I'm pretty sure I just said that wrong.
No, you're fine. Don't worry about it. We're used to you making mistakes, but I appreciate your effort.
Thank you.
No, I do think this is that's a good look there too. There's some good names on there. I've never really got into to offensive props in terms of batting props, but I have tried to move away a little bit from offensive props or team totals or F5s and do more pitching props. But today I kind of fell into a trap. I did put a unit on the Astros and the Red Sox over 5 runs in the first 5 innings. It's minus 125 on Barstool. I tried to find ways to not bet an offensive prop like this or a total like this because I just feel like it hasn't been going my way recently. But these are just 2 pitchers that have really been struggling. I mean, I actually am a big Christian Javier fan. I keep rooting for him to do something spectacular again like last year. But we talked about it with me and Nick last week on the show. I mean, the guy was fantastic last year. People get film on him. He has 2 pitches. He never tried to really add it. We don't know that, but he never really officially added a 3rd pitch. He's given up at least 2 runs in all of his in almost all of his starts, especially the last 10 starts. And my big thing about this offensive prop is they both just faced these offenses, and Javier gets to face the Red Sox again. He allowed 3 runs last time out against them a week ago. I mean, they have a WRC plus of 112 over the last 30 days against righties. Their on base percentage is over 330 against righties the last 30 days. And then vice versa. Chris Sale, as much as I was a fan of him growing up, I still root for the guy. He has not been able to go a full 5. He's been struggling with walks. He's been struggling with contact. He allowed 4 runs to Houston last time out. And once again, a 178 WRC plus against lefties over the last 30 days. Best in the league for Houston. And they have the best on-base percentage last 30 against left-handed pitchers of 410. If you're telling me I get to trust these 2 offenses in a neutral weather slate against these 2 pitchers after they just saw them and teed them off, I always give the advantage to the offense yet again when they get to see the same pitcher again in
I like that
back-to-back
a lot.
starts. And
That's a
like I
good
said,
thought.
you pay the minus 125, but you get a chance at a push. And I do think first 5 numbers, the push is such a nice option because a lot of those times the half run really matters a lot.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt about it. Nick, do you have any more plays?
Yeah, I got like 4 more RBI plays.
Nice. I'll let you rattle those off. I have 3 plays remaining as well.
So Braves Rockies, I had to take 2 guys in this play, and just because of the Braves offense playing at Coors. I took Austin Riley and used my 50% DraftKings boost to get that for 1 RBI plus 136. On FanDuel, his 1 RBI is minus 130, just for comparison. And then I also took Marcell Ozuna, who's probably one of the hottest hitters right now in baseball.
Love that.
On the Braves, right?
He is on the Braves. Took him for an RBI as well. His was close to even money. Both they're facing a lefty, so both of those right-handed hitters, power hitters in that Braves lineup. I would assume Riley's hitting 3rd, and then Ozuna hitting 5th per usual. So both always have guys on in front of them. So I like their chances tonight.
I can see that.
Yeah, definitely an intriguing game there for sure. And Albies is back as well. Where'd they bat him at? He's
the
batting.
Braves pissed me off. I'm sorry. As I am a bitter Phillies fan, but I was at the game. Actually, I was actually golfing yesterday, and we went to the bar after the fact just to get dinner and a drink. And we looked up. The Giants were up. I think they went up 4. And by the time it took them to drop off our plate of food and like fill our drink orders, it was like a 1-run game within maybe 30 seconds. And I was just, they had no one on like 3 seconds ago. So yeah, that offense, especially in Coors, I mean, they can really do some damage tonight.
Yeah, especially with Albies back, because he might be the lefty masher of them all. Like, his numbers this year against lefties are just absolutely absurd. So to get him back in the lineup, not that Michael Harris was doing a bad job by any means. He's a fucking incredible player, but getting Albies back in that 2-hole should be very beneficial to guys like Riley and Ozuna.
Right. Always good when your 2-hole hitter has 90 RBIs.
Yeah, not bad.
Plus, it is an over/under of 12 in a. Man, I'm sorry. Someone on this chat earlier today was saying that they should be contrarian and play the under 12 in that game. And I get the idea. I actually support the logic. I support like the braveness of it, but
the braveness
to give me an under in a game where it's Gomer versus the Braves in Coors, I just don't know if that's the stand I want to make. I mean, this offense is just ridiculous. I don't know if I've ever seen.
Elder sucks too.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a team total at 7.5 juice to the over, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's warranted. This team's out of this world. Goodness gracious. I was hoping to get a discount on Albie's total bases because he's just coming back. Minus 165. There goes that team. Jesus. All right. I'm going to rattle off 2 more plays. Both are hits plus runs plus RBI looks, and they're both on DraftKings or Barstool. I believe DraftKings, they've both been on the move a little bit today. But not enough to not play them. I still like them. I think one guy's minus 130, the other's minus 135. So no issues with it. So I'm going Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green, both over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBI. I played them for 0.75 each, so 1.5 units total on this specific look. They they I'm doing them together because they both kind of follow a lot of the same stats. They're both lefties in this lineup, and lefties versus Severino has just been absolutely absurd. They're batting .335 with 24 extra base hits, including 10 homers in 155 at bats. They have a 280 ISO, a 439 WOBA against Severino. Severino on the road has a 9.56 ERA. At night, he has a 9.35 ERA. I don't really care too much about day and night splits too much with certain guys, but that one was alarming enough to list, in my opinion. He is coming off his best start of the season versus Washington. He really shut that lineup down, but he's been so bad. I'm not like it's not scaring me away from fading him here. He throws four-seam cutter slider about 80% of his arsenal. And Green and Carpenter both have a lot of success versus those pitches. Kerry Carpenter's batting .365 versus righties this season. He's batting .365 at home as well. Green is batting .296 versus righties, .318 at home. So they're both on the stronger side of their split, with being at home and versus a righty. So I think Kerry's batting 5th and Green is 4. So I like the odds. There's a lot of run scoring / RBI situations for both of these guys here. So 0.75 on both of them. I believe they're both in the -130 range, which I would still happily play here.
I like that. I like how Ryan is really embracing this whole actually trying thing for the show. It's been a wonderful thing for this episode. So we actually really appreciate you. Usually he just comes in. Yeah, no, he always comes in here and just absolutely just makes no sense and then leaves and he's like, all in a day's work. But no, this is a good show for Ryan. I'm really proud of him.
Thanks, man. I stayed sober, no beer for me on this show, which is quite a rare one. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, usually I'm the one that doesn't really drink, and then you always have a drink to deal with me. But it's the opposite today because I actually had a really good show with Nick last week, and I was like, oh shit, Ryan's gonna be back. He's gonna be all talkative. Someone in the chat did mention, because we were talking about, you mentioned some Braves players. So did you, Nick. They mentioned that the Sunday baseball curse for the Braves. That's the only thing I think that could stop this offense, is the whole idea of, Sunday baseball, travel day. That's really the only, I think you can say that to back that claim, because Austin Gomer, like we talked about earlier, he's like the Aaron Nola of home runs without any of the other positives that Aaron Nola has. It's really bad.
They were in what, San Fran?
They were in San Fran, yeah.
San Fran to Colorado.
Hour and a half flight, maybe?
They'll be fine. I'm sure these hitters are looking forward to hitting tonight.
Yeah, the ball should carry. The ball should really carry. So absolutely. How many more plays do either of you guys have?
I have 2.
You have 2 and 1? All right, let's let Nick go. Let's let Nick get a crack at things. No pun intended.
So last 2 RBI plays, I have Corey Seager +120 against McGill and the Mets.
Love that.
Anytime Seager's in that range, I feel like I have to take him. I mean, he's hitting almost 350 this year. One of the best hitters, lefty facing a righty. Not that it really matters that much with him, but you get that advantage. One of the higher run scoring teams until recently when they went on that skid, but they can put up runs with the best of them when that offense is rolling. And then the other one, like we talked about earlier, kind of fading, Waino, Machado RBIs close to even money. He's been on a tear lately with RBIs. Got good guys in front of him with Kim and Tatis getting on base, facing a subpar pitcher. I just really like that spot for him too as well.
Yeah, like that a lot. Man, you have me itching to add more RBI plays. Maybe I should just see how the first one goes. But
it's pretty addicting once a couple of them hit.
Once a couple hit, you start getting into it. I can see that.
I see that. That's all right. We'll just get started slow. We'll work our way in. I do have one more strikeout prop for the night, though. Brian, are you out of place?
Yeah, I kind of said my piece with some of my spots. Now I'm trying to hear what you guys want to talk about, because the only other thing I want to play tonight is a Pirates money line, which is super gross. So I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, I think we have to now. But all right, I'll rattle this off and then we can chat on that for a moment. I went Taijuan Walker over 4.5 strikeouts. You guys will be beating me on the juice on this one. I think it's -115 on Barstool. So I used my profit boost on this morning, 50% profit boost on DraftKings to, I think, take it to plus 115, and then I added half unit max on the profit boost, so I just bet an additional 25 to make it a 1 unit bet. Sorry, long-winded. So Walker had to skip a start due to arm fatigue a couple weeks ago, after he really struggled versus the Twins on 8-12, but then he returned on 8-22 and pitched a pretty damn good game. He had 5 innings, 7 strikeouts. He was generating the whiffs again. Not that he's been a huge K guy, but 5 has been a very attainable number for him prior to the arm fatigue. So I really like this number. He threw 89 pitches prior to the arm fatigue. He was throwing up into the hundreds. So I don't really think they'll hesitate to let him throw in the high 90s like he has been most of the season. He hasn't been, like I said, he hasn't been a massive K guy, but at home he's had more success. 21.2% K rate at home versus an 18.2% on the road. He's over this line in 52% of the games this season and 62% at home. So just been a really attainable line for him. He gets a really nice matchup. I believe he's seeing 5 lefties if I'm not mistaken, which is a nice advantage for him because he strikes out lefties better than righties. The Angels have very quickly climbed the ranks in Ks per game. They're now 5th worst from they used to be like in the mid-teens not that long ago. They're up to 9.33 a game. They're averaging 11 over their last 3 games. And in August versus righties, they have just an absolutely dreadful 27.3% K rate as a team, which is the 4th worst in the league. A lot of the games that Walker has missed in was high walk games, and the Angels lineup only has a 6.6% walk rate so far in August versus righties. So kind of hoping walks don't really come into play. And long story short, I think Walker can get 5 strikeouts.
Yeah, no, I like that. I was sadly enough looking at some of these other props too. I was debating some kind of player performance double for the Phillies game as well, which is scary. But there's just a lot. There's a lot to like it, I think, in that. So
we win when he pitches. I'll give him that. It's not always pretty, but we win when Taijuan
he's
Walker
like
pitches.
for the longest time he was leading in wins. It was like a 4-year ERA. So I do think. I mean, it's also just. I mean, Giolito, like it's just been so bad, and new change of scenery didn't really help him that much. 4 strikeouts in a win is plus 115, and I was really close to pulling it, and for some reason I just couldn't end up doing it just because of some of the strikeout numbers for Walker. But I do think he gets there today. It's such a good matchup.
Nice, yeah. Not mad at you there.
Yeah. So
Pirates money line?
Well, I just was trying to find a way to fade Zach Greinke, like whether it's first 5 or overall. I don't know about you. I know the Royals have had this like super awesome month of like they're just mashing, but eventually that's got to come down, right? Like I know Bobby Witt is like the best thing, but like sometimes I don't know. I feel like their offense will eventually come down to the mean, and I just think the Pirates are plus money earlier, and I kind of was intrigued by that. I didn't play it, but that was the one play, and then the 4 and a win for Walker were the 2 plays. I was so close to playing, and then I went away for a lineup. So after the show, that's my plan is to kind of look into those 2 plays.
Yeah, good deal. Fair enough.
Yeah, the Phillies have been playing well though. Phillies offense, they look back.
Absolutely,
for the most part.
Absolutely.
Do you guys know how many home runs Kyle Schwarber has this year?
36.
Do you know how many singles he has this year?
36.
36. Such a funny. I'm so rooting for him to not hit any more singles. And if he does it, that's got to be the first time a qualifying hitter has had more home runs than singles, right? There's no way.
I would love to know.
Like I tried to look it up earlier, and
how do you not accidentally hit a single?
Yeah, I don't know. Tony Temp mentions the 40 home runs and negative WAR. I wonder if there's a person that will do this that will see what his WAR would have been if he was properly a DH all year, because a lot of his WAR stat is just taken away from his defensive liability.
Yeah,
I wonder how
so awful out there.
I wonder what his WAR would be if he just didn't have all that negative that negative stuff from the fact he can't field for shit.
Oh, I mean, it would certainly be positive. So
it would certainly be positive. I wonder what it would look like. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Now he'll at least get out of the outfield a little bit when Bryce plays first, so we can get him out of the left field sometimes. Which before Bryce was able to play first, I think Schwarber played left field like every single game of the season up until that point. Now we at least have an option to make him a DH a couple times a week. So thank the Lord, man. I hate watching that guy field anything out there. It's so pathetic to watch.
It's nerve-wracking. I was at the game
Yes.
Saturday, and every single we were in left field on Saturday, and we couldn't see the foul pole area. So every time a ball was hit there, we didn't know what was happening. We were just like, I hope somehow, some way he made this play. But to kind of close things off, we can move on to the pick of popular players real quick because I think it's interesting that the most popular play on Pickett is Andrew Abbott, who we didn't talk about. It was him and Hunter Green are both on here, so that's
Hunter Green.
interesting.
Oh,
How
Riley
does
Green.
that work?
It's Hunter Green, it says, which is why I'm confused. But my guess is that might be a little bit of a glitch.
Yeah, it
For
must be.
Riley Green.
They have a
Unless,
doubleheader.
unless
Yeah,
Abbott got scratched.
it
I
might
don't think
be
so.
it might be a glitch, which is why I thought it was really interesting. Or it could be carried over from a different day. I don't know, but I'm gonna assume that Hunter Green was a mistake, which is why I thought it was interesting when I looked at it before the show.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's interesting for Abbott because from what I saw from Ballpark Pal, this ball should stay in the park really well at Oracle today. So for a guy that gets kind of hampered by allowing home runs, I do think he's a good person to back because if that ball dies down on some of these fly balls he allows, he could be a really good candidate to, go a little bit deeper in the game. His outs are 16 and a half. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but I do think when I first saw the winds blowing in, that was my first thing was, oh, that's really going to help a guy like Abbott.
Yeah, I mean he's on my today. Today is one of those slates where if I was unconscious, I would have just rattled off like 20 plays. But I tried to scale back a little bit and narrow down to my favorites. And Abbott's just now missing a list, and that's not even to say I won't add him. I want to see the lineup, which I don't think is out yet. Arguably, even more intriguing is on the other side is Kyle Harrison. This dude's strikeouts numbers are in the minors nonetheless, but they're like Strider-esque. They're 14 and a half strikeouts per 9
Yeah.
innings pitched. Problem with him is he has 21 starts, I want to say, and he's only completed 5 innings one time. So you're banking on this guy getting 6 strikeouts and probably 3 2/3 kind of.
And that is true. We
inning
talk
range.
about not being able to overreact on first inning, like Nick said. In this
Then
case,
you
that's
have
an
to.
overreact. There's no overreaction. You get none in the first. You're almost just punching the wall already.
Yeah, you'd be in big trouble with him. I think he struck out the first 5 outs he recorded against the Phillies the other day were all strikeouts. And then from there he didn't get another, but he got 5 and 3 2/3 and 60 something pitches. The thought is that he can work up towards 80 today. So intriguing. I wanted to play it so bad all day because my goodness, what a matchup. I've even thought about laddering, but it's so hard to commit to a guy that's probably not going to pitch much more than 4 innings, maybe 4 1/3.
If we got one of our normal 7 game Monday slates, maybe that's on the board. But this is a massive slate, and you have a lot of good spots. So I appreciate that.
We can go 5 and 5 with those two for plus 113, which isn't horrible.
Yeah, I looked at that earlier. That's a good look.
That would probably be my pivot instead of playing one of them straight.
Right.
Yeah, and then we'll skip over the Hunter Green whatever that happened there, which is the first time that I think it's ever happened in over a year doing the show. And we'll just go to the guy betting third, where I guess is bet second most is Kenta Maeda. I think that's a good look. His strikeout line is one of those things where it was 5.5 plus money to the over, and I think a lot of people probably flocked to it. But man, it's so tough. This Cleveland team, they are not good offensively, but my lord, do they put the ball in play at such a crazy high rate? Them and the Nationals. If Moneyball was a real thing about just getting on base and putting a ball in play, they'd be all stars. But they're good at the in play and on base thing a little bit. But the idea of scoring runs is foreign to them. So
Yeah.
I think that's one where I actually was hoping to bet the under on Maeda today if I got a good number. And when I checked this morning and I saw how juiced the under 5.5 was, I thought maybe I would get really good odds. And I just had to pass on it. Not saying I was being a hater, but there's people laddering up to 10 today. Not saying it can't happen. The guy's phenomenal, but this is just such a tough matchup to try to ladder. I guess you're just trying to buy the low line.
Yeah, I think one thing that the most notable thing that's kind of intriguing me and pushing me towards playing that 5-5 is that Ryan Jeffers is playing. This will be only the 4th time that Jeffers has caught him, but that pitching staff pitches so much better when Jeffers is behind the plate rather than Vasquez. It's night and day. Granted, small sample size, but with Jeffers catching, he's pitched 17 and 1/3, 22 strikeouts. He's got a 3.12 ERA. Opponent batting average is 155, so really good numbers. Only 2 walks in those 17 innings. And then with Christian Vasquez behind the plate, he has a 4.55 ERA, over 100, well, 106 points worse batting average against. So I saw that Jefferson's catching, and I think it became a little bit more intriguing to me when I
I'll
saw
say,
that. Again, he's kind of in the Abbott Harrison field, I guess, if you will, where he's kind of just outside of me committing to it. But I still may add some more tonight. We'll see.
I'll say
Throw
this. There
him in
might,
with the five combo.
yeah.
What's that?
I'll say this. He said throw me with the 5 combo he's working on. I'll say this to make it more intriguing. He really get bit down. His 5.5 is plus 135 for the over now. That's crazy. I mean, like that's what I mean. If you were to tell me like plus money to the over, I would lean over. But if plus money was to the under, I'd probably look for it. Like so, like that's a not touch spot for me. But that is crazy that you can get plus 130 or higher on his over 5.5 now.
Yeah, another thing that makes me lean towards playing him is he's facing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lefties, and his strikeout rate's better versus lefties than righties. So I don't know, so intrigued, so damn intrigued. Now with the extra odds on it, might even be even more intrigued. Although I feel like when pitcher props, I mean obviously nothing relates to every single play, but a lot of those times when the odds move the opposite direction after lineups come out, man, I've had really bad success hitting those plays. So it kind of freaks me out when that happens. But
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot to like here, I think, other than just simply the Cleveland matchup. I can't remember who it was, but I think there was one big target that was projected to be in this lineup that is not. So I guess that's the difference of why it jumped. I can't think of who it is, but there's still four.
I know
There's
Cole
still,
Calhoun's in, who's got a pretty
yeah,
big strikeout rate, at least against
Yeah.
Maeda.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good look to look into. But before we head out to kind of wrap up before 6 here, do you guys want to do a quick recap of your plays? I only have 2, so I'll just go Blake Snell, 6 strikeouts and a win, -120, and then I took the over 5 in the Houston and Boston game. And if you feel like you're adventurous, I did play on the side, the Pittsburgh money line. We'll see
Nice.
what happens there. I did parlay the Phillies, Padres, and Pirates, the 3 Ps for my DK boost at plus 160.
Nice.
I mean,
There you
plus
go.
160, plus 600, like between all 3 of them.
Nick, I'll let you go ahead, man.
Okay, so I'll kind of break this up a little bit. I have the Snell, Grayson Rodriguez, PPD, 5 and a win each was plus 190. And then I'll break these RBI plays up. So I'm going to do a round robin with some of them at the end here. So I'll list the other ones first. So I have Ozuna against the Rockies. And then I have Yan Gomes against Milwaukee and Willie Adames in that same game against the Cubs. And then these are the 4 main plays. And I'm going to round robin them by 2 or to get 2, to get 3, and to get 4 RBIs each. Corey Seager from the Rangers, Austin Riley for the Braves, Suzuki for the Cubs, and Machado for the Padres. And Brian said if any of the 3s or 4s hit, he's going to share that video. So at least we got that.
Really?
Going.
Okay.
I do remember him saying that very specifically, so that's good. I'm glad you mentioned that. All right, so my recap is Taiwan Walker over 4.5 strikeouts. I believe Barstool is the best line there now. Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green. This is not parlayed. I'm saying this funky. So Kerry Carpenter over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. I played that for 0.75 units. Riley Green over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. I played that for 0.75. I am also on the Snellzilla train. Blake Snell, 6 strikeouts and a Padres win. I think it's still about -120 anywhere you look. Then I took Xavier Curry, 4+ strikeouts versus the Twins, that I just simply can't wait to watch. And then to cap us off, I took Teoscar Hernandez over 1.5 total bases. I put 0.6 units on that. I took Teoscar Hernandez 2+ RBI. I put 0.26 units on that. And I took him for 3+ RBI. I put 0.14 units on that. Before we go, I did want to shout out DraftKings. So we have a promoted GoldBoys parlay on DraftKings. So if you go to the homepage, it'll start off the first one. They're like already pre-built parlays. The first one is called Baseball is Dead. You can scroll over and go to college football. And then if you scroll 2, 3, 4 to the right, then we have a GoldBoys community parlay on DraftKings, which is always really cool to see. It's Kent State and UCF over 13.5 points in the first quarter. MTSU and Bama over 51.5 points, and then NC State at UConn over 46.5 points. So a lot of our college football cappers put their heads together to try to form this. It's plus 581 on DraftKings. So go lock that in with us and have a fun little squad ride. I think we're all set.
That was perfect. And I didn't say I would share the video if you want to hit one of those fours. I said if you give me my favorite catcher signed ball behind you, you can have it.
What do you want? I got Schwarber up there.
No, you know my favorite catcher. Mike
Ryan
Giannino.
Oh, he's up there. He's up there too.
I hate that. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but every single time, Ryan, I've backed an under and strikeout prop against a guy against the Guardians. It's always like, okay. I mean, he hasn't played in a month, but it's been like, okay, we're looking good. We're looking good. One strikeout through 2 innings. All right, Giannino, just have a good at bat. And it's like 3 swings and misses. And I'm like, okay.
Alec Bohm, nice. Love that.
Yeah. He's got some good ones up there.
Dude, I'm dying.
I'll have to bargain with Nick later on. But, we appreciate everyone that was on the show. It was nice to have the full team back here. As always, we appreciate Pickett Sports, Hall of Fame bets, and sleeper picks. And we guys hope you have a good Monday. And we hope this slate is not fool's gold, as they say, and we actually win some money. So appreciate you guys coming out.
Adios.